Let's be so for real, starlets. You're not stuck because you're unmotivated or even lazy. You are stuck because you're afraid of being seen as your authentic self. And child, that same fear is writing your story for you. From the big screen to behind the scenes, it's your fave set bestie Lexa here to keep it real. On today's episode of Be So For Real, we'll be discussing how your fear of being perceived as your authentic self is louder than your desire to be successful. And starlets, that's a problem. And be sure to stick around because I will be sharing some advice and tools on how to stop being your own worst enemy, thus overcoming the fear of being perceived. I feel like this topic is so important, not only for artists, but just for everyday people. I believe it is true liberation when you can walk outside a door and stand 10 toes down just as you are. So let's go ahead and hop into it. Discussing the silent killer blocking your success, aka you. We're not just talking about like literally the fear of being seen by somebody else. Like you're walking down the street and somebody goes, oh? Like, no, we're talking about a deep-rooted fear internally. The fear of being vulnerable, the fear of success, the fear of failure, the fear of overall judgment. It can be you downplaying your talents. It could also come across as you putting on a mask just to seem palatable to those around you. These are key examples that show your fear of being perceived. And this parasitical mentality can latch onto us early in life and stay attached to us all the way to our deathbed if we do not overcome it. It can stem from, childhood traumas, like not being in an emotionally supportive environment, bullying. These are all things that could be the root of your fear of being perceived. And this mental parasite can be so latched onto you that it could trick you into thinking that it is a self-defense mechanism when actually it is hindering you from what? Your success. You can end up playing the side character in your own life when you're supposed to be the main character, not truly living as you were meant to live. When we do not embrace self, we miss out on the amazing opportunities and blessings that are literally on our path. We're living in the shadow of our ego. I think the ultimate mission as an evolved human being is to know who you are and live every day as your authentic self. Now, I'm not going to say that that process is easy. We have so many things that cloud our better judgment and just our vision of who we might think or want to be. There are stereotypes, there's pre-molds set on the world. But we have to clear our minds to really focus on the person that we see in the mirror. Look into our own eyes. The eyes are the windows to the soul. To dig deep and face even the darkest parts of ourselves. To come out at the end of that tunnel knowing that we walked fully in our realist energy, in our authentic self. And the only people that are going to be judging you as you walk as yourself are the people that are still shrouded in that cloud of self-judgment and overall fear of self. And now I'm going to take a leap of faith and be vulnerable with you guys and share two examples, one positive and one negative, on how one, where I self-sabotage myself by going through, the trials and tribulations of that fear of being perceived and allowing it to overtake me and a blessing that had came my way, and vice versa, how me overcoming it put a blessing on my path. I have always wanted to do content creation since I was in middle school. And if you ask anybody who really knows me, I always had, a camera in my hand. I was always filming something, editing something, down to so many different apps. I've been through really the evolution of social media, probably some apps that don't even exist anymore. Like, obviously, we know about Instagram, we know about TikTok, formerly known as Musical.ly, and Snapchat. But I was on apps like, you now. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to figure out what my flow was as a content creator. And, with my consistency and just posting cute pictures on Instagram, I got some attraction from a site that had come up just when Vine was taken down, or not a site, but an app that had came up just when Vine was taken down. And they were basically searching for content creators to post on their platform, obviously to become the next Vine. I was literally a paid ambassador for this app. And, I started it, and, I started posting before I went to college. And, I just do little comedy skits and whatnot because that's what I thought my niche was at the time. And, I love a good giggle. I love a good laugh. So I just went with that. And I post whenever I come up with an idea. And then I stopped. I could give you the excuse as to it was school, trying to manage college. But honestly, I just think my lack of consistency and discipline in what I had wanted to do for so long, allegedly, just was my own form of self-sabotage, because I think when you are passionate about something, you are consistent and disciplined with it. I think those two things are keys to overcoming, fear of your authentic self in general. I think it's showing up consistently. I think the key to overcoming the fear of self in general, of knowing who you are, is taking the time to go down that path, whatever it may look like, dark, light, disheveled. Everybody has their skeletons in their closet, and being disciplined in learning about those particular aspects of self. Also, in that fear of being perceived, it's just wanting to also be externally validated. And when you crave external validation, that, to me, in my personal journey, I've discovered that needing that external validation just shows that you haven't affirmed yourself internally. And really, to put it plainly, taken some steps into self-love, or taken the steps into loving yourself. Not some, because there's more than a few steps, but that's for another video. Long story short, with that aspect, I end up getting cut from the program because, well, girl, you're not posting. So what are they paying you for? You know what I'm saying? I self-sabotage myself, minimizing even my own gifts and shrinking myself in a way to not just shrinking. I was manipulating myself in a way to think, oh, I'm not even good enough to post. My content isn't even doing as well. Girl, you had a whole contract with an app and you were getting paid. Of course, your skills were valid. And with all that being said, years later, to the present moment, I start posting on TikTok. I start posting on YouTube. And let me tell y'all something. Recently, I was hit with a major blessing that I didn't necessarily expect to come so quickly. So obviously, I just started posting on YouTube, and just really general stuff like introduction and the first episode of my podcast. And aside from the content creation, I'm still on my role when it comes to acting, and I'm submitting to things. And recently I had gotten scouted for a project to be a lead in. And so it hits a point where I'm able to talk to the director, or one of the directors, one-on-one on the phone. And he's just breaking down the project to me and what it's about. It seems really dope. And I'm thinking like, oh, I wonder if I'm going to do a little table read for this, like pretty much an audition. And he was like, no, not really. We kind of see your vibe. And out of curiosity, I just wanted to know what made him consider me the right fit. And I mean, I know you're technically not supposed to ask that, but you know what? It just overcame me because I was, I thought I would have to audition. And he told me, he was like, oh, well, I did my research, as directors do. And he came across my YouTube channel, one of my first videos, and was like, yeah, I just thought that, your energy was right and you would be a good fit. Oh my God. So you mean to tell me all it took was for me to post a few YouTube videos to get a confirmation that I could fit a role in a short? What? Now that is what it looks like when you show up unapologetically anywhere, the internet or IRL, as your authentic self. You won't miss out on any blessings that are meant for you. And I was just blown away when he said that. And I was like, dang, you mean to tell me that after all these years, all I had to do was just post my freaking content and, somebody with the right pair of eyes would have seen me. And that for me just validated the point where it's like, I have to keep going. I have to keep showing up wherever I may be as me, because somebody will resonate with, my energy, and perhaps the energy will tell for itself to the point where somebody could pick me out of a crowd and be like, oh, yep, she's right for the role. No need to audition. The vibe is right. Check. With all that being said, starlets, go ahead and take a leap of faith in self and post your content. You never know who is watching, and the right eyes just might be. Finally, we're at the part 2 where we discuss how to overcome this fear. First things first, you need to have an awareness of what's going on up here. Name the fear when it shows up, that negative thought, that self-deprecating moment. Just pause, clock it, and really sit and think, is this really how I feel about myself? Why? Ask yourself these deep questions, because guess what? Once you dig deep enough, you find that root, you rip it out and toss it to the ground somewhere else. And then plant a new seed, a seed of where you can appreciate who you are and what you bring to the table. Now, once you have an awareness of this self-deprecating moment, I want you to really lock in and accept what's being said, but not in the sense of like, oh, it's true, minimize, shrink, but in the way of that, oh, you're having a human moment and you shouldn't shame yourself for what is happening. Because the truth is, most of these thoughts that we have that are negative about us, our insecurities, are not of our own. They're projections from other people. They could be rooted in childhood trauma, societal conditioning, and overall perfectionism. These thoughts are not your thoughts. Now, take baby steps into standing in your power. Maybe try saying no if you're a people pleaser, because we can't be yes people. I just feel like it gets to a point in one's life where you really just look in the mirror and you're like, I can't pretend anymore. I can't mask anymore. Like, that's how it really came up for me. And the truth is, starlets, though the world may say it wants you to act in one particular way, what the world needs is what you're hiding. Remember this, purpose will always require visibility. You were not meant to be hidden. Let that feeling of fear be a signal that you are on the path to something great, and don't let it be your stop sign. Now is the time, starlets, to stop hiding and step into alignment with your destiny. If anything that I have said in this video resonates with you, be sure to subscribe for more philosophical yapathon content. And that is the martini shot, starlets. Hope to catch you on the next reel. Ciao.